Hey, I'm sitting inside my truck at the Flying J in Sherwood Park, which is Edmonton East, and it's so cold outside. It's like I was walking like this, in a t-shirt, in a light t-shirt, and just a light, kind of very light football sweater, and it's freezing. I had to get inside. And I had a meal at Denny's, and then found on Google Maps there was Starbucks 1.5 kilometers south of this location. So I walked there, spent some time there, had the coffee, walked back. So good. So I already had like 3 kilometers. And then this Denny's, they don't advertise this, but I found out in Saskatoon that Denny's in Canada carry, their license to sell beer and wine, and they don't have it in the menu, right? So I was just having this brunch, and today's being Sunday, and I'm out of the truck. So I said, "Hey, can I have a beer?" Right? So I had a beer. So I'm feeling good, except that it's so damn cold, and I watched a movie inside, and then I went back to the truck to put on a jacket or something. And I look straight ahead, and there's a new member of our family parked. Like, trucks change all the time, right? Some guys have been parked here as long as I've been. But there's a truck sitting opposite me, and I just love the look. I mean, it's a classic truck. And I'm thinking that's what my next truck is gonna look like, Like you've seen me test drive Volvos, Kenworth. No, wait, forget Kenworth. Mack, Western Star. I didn't do Freightliners. By the way, speaking about Western Stars, I was parked in Fort Mac at that petrol pass there. And an older guy was trying to pull in with a dump trailer, and I saw him in the mirrors, and it was very tight, so I was afraid he would hit my trailer. He was on the back just trying to swing in between my truck and the next truck, and I just went forward, to make room for this guy. Just went forward, so it created more space, so he was able to, go in a wide arc, and then he kind of thanked me through the window, raised his hand, and I opened my window. I saw he was driving a Western Star, 4900. I said, "How do you like your truck?" And he said he had actually 2 of these. He said he had a 1996 Western Star. The last year they made them in Canada. I think it was in BC somewhere, right? Because that's originally a Canadian make. And then this one that he drove on that date was, I think it was 2004. I remember because I said, "Oh, that's the same year as my truck." And I said, "So what do you think of these trucks, especially since you bought the second one? You wouldn't do that if the truck was bad." And he said, funny enough, he said that 1996 was built better. And this is not the first time I hear this. They say that after Western Star production was purchased by Freightliner, and the entire factory was basically, kind of moved. Well, the production was moved to Portland, Oregon. A lot of people say that the quality of the brand went down. And this guy says the same thing. He says just tiny details, like switches, like the quality of switches, or gauges or stuff like that. It's better on his 1996 Canada-built Western Star than on the newer 2004 Oregon-built Western Star. But he said that the old 1996, the cab was smaller. And the sleeper back then, it wasn't integrated type, like old trucks have now, right? You had to crawl through the hole, like the old style, like in the 70s or something. And you couldn't stand inside the cab, you had to kneel. I mean, you had to, lower your head all the time. And he said, especially when you drive all day, you know, and you in and out of the cab all the time, he says that gets tiring after a while. So he says he really likes the spaciness of you know, how spacious this 2004 Western Star is. But he has a mid-roof sleeper, but it's, you know, it's you can stand inside. But anyway, I'm just mentioning that because, you know, the Western Star, the quality is not what it used to be. And I thought that, you know, I already have an International, you know, the only truck I ever owned. So I'm thinking my next truck should also be an International, you know. Why change families when you've been treated okay? The only problem I have with my truck is that pretty much each time I need a part, I have to order it. You know, I cannot just go to a dealer and pick it up. You know, I have to call ahead, you know, make arrangements. It's not like it's like at a Freightliner. So that's a bit more difficult. But check this out. There's a truck parked next to me. I'm going to show it to you. I mean, it's parked right opposite. Now, I'm not a big fan of classic trucks, but look at this one. This is International 9900. I just love how it looks. I cannot stop, you know, looking at it. Of course, it has those ridiculous pipe extensions. You know, I never understood that. Like, everyone can see that his actual exhaust pipes have smaller diameter than those at the top part. To me, that's like the same thing as, you know, putting a small, like, I don't know, half a foot long huge tip on your exhaust, you know, of a pickup truck, and everyone can see the actual pipe, which is like 3 inches in diameter. Then you have a 6-inch extension, you know. Like, at least on my Ford F-150, you know, I had the 4 foot long extension, so you cannot see the actual pipe, which was smaller. But I mean, but these are just details. I mean, I love his mirrors, you know, those new style aerodynamic mirrors. And I'm not a fan of those air breathers, but they look good. I see this guy has lots of lights on them, you know, so LED lights, so they would look great in the dark. And then he has this massive moose bumper, you know, it just looks gorgeous. I don't know, looks kind of a very powerful, you know, kind of like one of those Australian trucks. So I really approve this moose bumper. It makes the truck look much better, and of course it's really useful. See, if I had something like this when that guy hit me in Texas, and he's the end of his you know, bumper, like where the lights are, like this guy, right? That part, which is very strong aluminum, he hit me right here in above the passenger side light, like on my left, the way I look now. So if I had this moose bumper, he wouldn't be able to demolish half of the truck, you know. I think it's a really great investment, not just for looks, but also, you know, functionality. And you see, this thing replaces the entire bumper. And I think when you buy a brand new truck, you can just tell them you want this installed, you know. When they bring the truck down from the factory, they can install this. And I know inside these 9900s are very spacious, you know, lots of room, you know, big sleeper, wide bunk, you know. And this one has I see just mid-roof sleeper, and I don't know, I like it, you know. And you can get it with a long wheelbase, and because it has a big radiator, you can get the biggest Cummins you want, because in a Pro Star they only give you like 500 horsepower Cummins. With this one you can get 600 horsepower, 2,050 pounds of torque. And the only thing I would do is I love those mirrors, I love the moose bumper, but I would ask them to hide those air breathers, because you can get even a 600 horsepower Cummins, you don't need those. Because some trucks, they say, oh, you cannot get high horsepower without the outside air breathers, but with International they don't care. So it'll have a much better look without them, and better aerodynamics. And then the exhaust pipe should be behind the sleeper, I don't see the point why they should be over there. First of all, they decrease your visibility. It's hard to back with them like that, right? But you know, I like how white, and it's not exactly white because that trail over there is white too, right? But this more kind of like a creamy white, and it's just matches that aluminum on the front. I think this will be like this, or the same color as his bumper would be great for you know, truck color. Now, speaking of trucks, and the topic of safety comes up. Oh, Ford F-150, regular cab. Looks like the one I had. Sometimes I miss it, especially the Flowmaster exhaust I had. But I just wanted to show you something, guys, because I know you all like to learn something new. Now, to the right of the my newly favored truck is this guy here. It's a 53-foot flatbed trailer from Ontario, and it has a sliding rear axle, right? And I know this plant because I hold these machines. They're based right in Ontario, and I'm mentioning that because I know the weight. The weight of each machine is way over 10,000 pounds. They're close to 20 or 22, I think. Like they don't look big, but because they have to be steady to support, you know, the guy on the basket there, you know, when they're up somewhere working near the sky. Let me check out this guy. This is July, right? July in Alberta. Freezing. I don't know. Sometimes I want to move here because there's so much work, but then you know, the weather. I grew up in Russia, right? But I don't know. I'm not a fan of cold temperatures. But anyway, so this guy has two machines. Each is definitely over 10,000 pounds. Now check out how many chains he has. Like if you don't look closely, and let's say you're a DOT inspector and this guy flies by it, you know, like 100 kilometers an hour, you might not see, but he has only one chain, right? One chain, one winder. And I walked by him, and I cannot say if this was just a cheap 5/16 chain or was it 3/8 chain, because in Ontario you cannot use 5/16 chain with anything over 10,000 pounds is considered heavy equipment. And there's two rules. In Ontario there's two rules. In US there's one rule that you must comply with. So in Ontario you must use a chain thicker than 5/16, so normally 3/8, right? But that does not apply in the States. In the States they don't care what chains you use. But the major rule is you must have one chain on each corner with a separate binder. Because what happens is that if something happens with your chain and gets loose, that's it. Nothing holds this machine, because the front chain will be loose as well. You know, that's why there's there's a reason why they want 4 chains, 4 binders. And I learned this myself. Like I didn't have enough chains on one machine, so now I'm a big fan of counting chains on someone's equipment. You know, like. We cannot see that what company is that, but I'm just saying that, you know, like if you guys haul something over 10,000 pounds, no matter where, Canada, US, you know, just make sure you have 4 chains, and preferably heavy duty chains, on each corner of the machine. Okay, that's just my comment. And let's look again at that international. Maybe one day. That's the price of diesel today.